Welcome to another episode of the Global Green Action Project, a place where we get to meet amazing heroes doing great changes in the world to make it a more compassionate, kinder place through humanitarian, animal, and environmental initiatives. I'm your host, Jennifer, and today we have another amazing guest speaker. And our topic is all about stories through filmmaking and empower our children and youth through the amazing initiative known as the Peace Tree Spirit and Peace Tree International. But first, a little bit about our guest speaker today.
Mitra Sen is a teacher, filmmaker, and founder of Peace Tree International. She focuses on creating films to promote peace, diversity, equity, inclusion, and respect through the spirit of children and youth. When did the film come out? What was the exact year that it came out?
It actually was shown on CBC nationally on Christmas Day in 2004, which was really great. But I kind of tweaked that version later in 2005. That's the one that is out there now. Mhm.
how long did it take to create that film? Again, because you were doing it independently, I'm sure that's a completely different dynamic than those Hollywood filmmakers and
Oh,
all the crew.
nothing near no, nothing near that. No glamour or glitz, nothing like that. What happened was I was teaching, and I had asked the students to do some research on a festival outside of their own culture or faith. And one of my students came up to me and she said, Miss Sen, I don't want to learn about anyone else's culture. I only want to know about my own. And I was really shocked, and so were the other students in the class. But then there were other students who really wanted to learn about the different festivals, and they wanted to celebrate them, but they weren't permitted to because of their family's religious beliefs. And so then I realized that, this is an important story to share to help um, open the dialogue between the children and their parents and teachers and the teachers and their students. So that's what led me to create the Peace Tree, which is about two little girls, one Muslim and one Christian, who both dream of celebrating each other's festivals, Christmas and Eid, and how they run into resistance at home from their families. But then one of them creates a peace tree that highlights the symbols of all our cultures and faiths on one tree to reflect the beauty of diversity in unity. So that's how this film came to be. And then I had to take a leave from teaching in order to make this. It takes about, for me, maybe about, because it's not a full length feature, it was about 50 minutes. It took about maybe 8 months to write it uh, to the final version, because I mean, you might finish it in maybe 2 months, but then you just revise and revise and revise, and then after that it takes another, gosh, took me another 2-3 years to complete it. In terms of another reason why I decided to create these kind of films, because I actually grew up in Nashville and in Toronto. And as I mentioned, that was during a time when there were very, very few South Asians. I was only South Asian in my class. And so um, whenever they would show images of India, they would always reflect it in a very negative light, always highlighting the poverty. And so it was really difficult as a young person to develop the kind of pride and confidence in who you are and where you come from at a young age, which is really important. Um, and so as I grew up in Toronto, I experienced the racism I mentioned, and both covert and overt racism and exclusion. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to travel to India that I discovered this whole new world, that I didn't even know existed. That is such a rich culture and beautiful architecture and landscapes and history. And ever since that day, I made it a point to share the positive aspects of my culture with the Western world. Initially, I started with photography, but then I realized, as I mentioned, that there's so many important stories of people from diverse backgrounds that need to be shared.